Recording. And let's go here. Let's go here. All right. And let's go.
Welcome to the Put on Waivers Media Group, home of the Put on Raiders podcast and the Student Body Right podcast. This is your place for the best breakdowns and the best insight for those who fight on and bleed silver and black. Now, here are your hosts, Dwayne Douglas and Ryan Holmes.
And welcome everybody to the glorious episode of the Put on Raiders podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, along with Ryan Holmes, and we are bringing you everything good, the bad, and the ugly from Raider Nation, from Silver and Black. The Raiders lose the Raiders 29, the Jaguars 30. I just was texting with Ryan during the game, and he was like, I believe that's the sixth straight possession they scored. They would not stop scoring in that game. Late, the Raiders could not tackle at all in that game. So we'll talk about that just in a bit. But first, the NFL had a crazy trade deadline. It was absolutely nuts as far as that goes. What are your thoughts about that? The Cowboys went in there and did some things, and everybody else did some things. It's pretty crazy. First of all, let's start off with the real quick the Sauce Gardner deal with the Colts. The Colts are just going all in right now.
Yeah, the Colts give away 2 first-round picks to go get Sauce Gardner, and they take that big contract on that he signed with the Jets. It's interesting because they don't have the quarterback position solidified. Daniel Jones is on a 1-year deal. So with the way Daniel Jones is playing, they're going to have to give him a $40, $45, $50 million deal in the offseason. We don't know how Daniel Jones is going to play 2 or 3 years down the line. So they're taking a huge risk, but they're in the driver's seat in the AFC. They have a chance to get home field advantage. Yep. They have a fairly easy schedule coming up the rest of the way. They play in a very winnable division. So they're going all in at this point. They had a clear need at corner, and they went out and got Sauce Gardner. We didn't hear his name on the market. And it's just entering the Jets basically just folded with Aaron Glenn. They traded their 2 best defensive players who are both under contract but the Colts are making a big move, a big investment here. So they have to feel very confident they're going to get Daniel Jones under contract or use the franchise tag to keep him and avoid and not let him get to the market because this will backfire if they can't find a way to re-sign Daniel Jones. But they have a really good offensive line. They have the best running back in football right now who has a chance to be the MVP. The quarterback's playing well. They have a young tight end. The defense was the issue there. We'll see what happens. Hopefully Daniel Jones plays more like he did early in the season versus how he did last week against Pittsburgh, where he started turning the ball over.
Yeah, Pete Carroll's old team, the Seattle Seahawks, they're just smashing folks right now. They're playing great football, and one of the best receivers in football right now is clearly JSN. He gets some help. They add more speed. The offensive coordinator knows Rashid Shaheed, and I think that just adds a little even more speed dimension. You mentioned running backs. They have a really good tandem there, with Charbonnet and company. So, that's a good move for them. It's a smaller move there, but I do think he adds a lot, more speed to this wide receiving core that already has, Barnard and other young players coming up and playing well.
Yeah, the one thing Seattle didn't have was that speed burner on the outside. JSN's working in the slot. He can win down the field, but it's primarily a slot. They have Cooper Kupp, who's a possession receiver at this point. They have Bobo, who's a young possession receiver. I don't love the compensation they gave up. I think they overpaid here for Shaheed. I don't see him being a true difference maker where you're not going to target this guy 10 times a game. He's there to run some vertical routes. 3 or 4 targets a game, maybe catch a big play down the field. But to give up a 4th and a 5th round pick in next year's draft is a lot. But again, they're in a division they can win. They have the Rams there and the 49ers. Who knows how the 49ers' health is going to hold up? They're losing guys every week. They keep winning, but we'll see long term. I don't love this trade for the Seahawks, but I do understand why they went out and did it. They need another option.
Is the compensation you don't like, right?
I don't like giving away a 4th and a 5th for a guy who you're going to target 3 or 4 times and maybe hit a vertical shot. Like if he was coming in and he could give you 8 to 10 targets a game and be that guy that steps up opposite JSN, but he's not that type of player.
Yeah, makes sense. The Cowboys, the Jets just sold everything. I might call the Jets to see if I get something from the Jets right now because they're selling everything off. Quentin Williams becomes a Cowboy, and then I think that did they pick up the linebacker from the Bengals as well? I think the Cowboys picked up the linebacker from the Bengals as well. I'm not sure.
Logan Wilson,
yeah. So they're trying to fix the defense. It's been a clueless defense. I'm not sure what they're doing. I'm not sure what they're doing defensively, but obviously right now Quentin Williams is a talented player. They needed some talent to be infused into that defensive side of the ball. Can they get it going? Like this far into the season, we'll see. But what are your thoughts about that one?
The Cowboys are not making the playoffs this year. I don't understand this trade. They're giving away their first-round pick, not the Packers. So there's a chance this pick ends up 10 to 15 in the first round. Jerry Jones went out there and said, I can't pay Micah because I can't have top-heavy contracts. We've paid the quarterback. They still have to pay Pickens in the offseason. They have CeeDee Lamb. Now you go out and you trade for a player that's older than Micah Parsons. I believe Quentin Williams is older than Micah Parsons. He plays an interior position, so he's not going to give you the pass rush production that you would get out of Micah Parsons. And he only has 1 year left on his deal at $22 million. So they're going to have to turn around and give a mega contract to Quentin Williams in the next year, or else he's going to demand a trade and not want to stay there. So it was a desperate move. They gave up a 1 and a 2. It's probably a mid-first and a mid-second to get him. And now you're going to have to pay him too. He's not under contract like Sauce Gardner for the next 4 or 5 years. So it makes no sense to me that they basically traded Micah Parsons and a second-round pick to get Quentin Williams, a 30-year-old Kenny Clark, and a first-round pick. And they're going to have to pay Quentin Williams. So Jerry wants to stop the run. I think he just wanted to make a splash here. This doesn't align with what he was talking about in the offseason. And Quentin Williams isn't as good of a player as Micah Parsons. So for me, it's a wash. It's a desperate move. This team is not making the playoffs. They're 3-5-1, and a pretty loaded NFC this year. They're not winning the division. Are they going to get a wild card? Probably not. They're going to have to basically win out and try to get or they can lose maybe 2 games, get to 9-7-1 to make the playoffs.
Yep.
So I just don't see it happening. I think it was a desperate move.
Yeah, and I also think that what killed them is going to be that tie. The tie is going to definitely kill them more than it would kill the Packers, because the Packers are going to be in the playoffs pretty. I wouldn't say easily. They had a home loss to the Panthers, which nobody saw coming. But you would think if they stay healthy, they'd be able to do stuff. Go ahead.
The tie helps them in tiebreaker situations because instead of being 9-8, they're going to be 9-7-1.
Yeah.
So it'll help them because it wasn't a loss. You would rather it be a win, but you'd rather have a tie than a loss on the record. So it's better than being 3-6. But at the end of the day, I don't think they're going to win 10 games, 9 or 10 games to get into the playoffs.
No, that'd be hard for them to do. Now let's transition to what the Raiders did. I think all the big moves we talked about real quickly. The Raiders. It was rumored all over the place that they were going to trade Jacoby Meyers. Maybe, the Jaguars said, "Hey, we're going to trade for him. Let's make sure that knee works. So let's see him run some routes on Sunday." Usually that's usually when you're about to trade somebody, you sit him out. But he played on Sunday against the Jaguars. Thoughts about that? Thoughts about the deal? Reported by I think Rap Sheet had it first, or Tom Pelissero, but it's going to be Jacoby Meyers for a 4th and a 6th in the upcoming draft.
The 6th, I believe, comes from the Jets, so this is going to be a high 6. The 4th is the higher of the 2 4th-round picks the Jaguars have. So you're looking for hopefully top 10 pick in the 4th round and a top 10 pick in the 6th round. This is good compensation. I like Jacoby Meyers. Clearly, this front office didn't want to extend him. They didn't want to pay him. And to be able to move him when everyone knows you're trying to trade him and still get 2 pretty good picks here for him is a good move. He didn't have the production this year. He had production last year. He's played 7 games this year, and he has 33 catches. So it's not like Jacoby Meyers is out there balling every week going for a hundy and a touchdown. So for them to get that kind of production for him, knowing that the Jaguars are going to have to pay him to keep him, Brian Thomas Jr. went down at the end of the game. against the Raiders with an injury. Obviously, they put Travis Hunter on IR. They're 5 at the playoffs. So we'll see what happens with the Jaguars here. They're not going to win the division. I don't think they're going to catch the Colts. So they're trying to position themselves to get to 10 wins. But I like it. They're being aggressive. Gladstone that came over from the Rams, he's a young guy, new GM. It's a first-year head coach. They have a chance to put a stamp on their first year and get in the playoffs. It's worth it on their end to do it. And I also think the Raiders did well here with the compensation they got coming back. Let's just hope it doesn't turn into John Bowie and a 6th rounder that's inactive for an entire year.
Ooh, John Bowie, Raider great.
Drop the John Bowie, Randy Moss trade compensation on you.
There you go. That was that. Yeah, that was just a get out of town compensation for that one. It's more than it. Like obviously, you get a couple picks out of it. You weren't gonna keep them, so we'll see. There was rumors about. I guess people were kicking the tires on Meyers, kicking the tires on JBJ. But Meyers is the only one to kind of go. So we'll see what happens. Coming up there, the game. So this is the first time I had a chance to talk to Ryan about the game. We kind of did a show earlier, we're doing a show early this week because the Raiders play on Thursday in Denver against the Broncos. I'll start on the defensive side of the ball. Like it was really it was difficult to kind of just watch. We've seen some bad defenses in our time watching the Raiders, but just watching so many missed tackles over and over and over and over and over again, just giving these people drives. Like even there were plays where they even had like ETN hit in the backfield, but they didn't wrap up, so he ends up squirting out the other way for for 6 or 7 yards. I saw some of the slowest toss plays ever. Like it looked like he was walking on those toss plays, and he ended up getting 6-7 yards on those plays. They gave up 6 straight scoring drives. They did everything they could. They did everything in this game that was just like nuts. I know this is not a great. It's not like an all-time talented defensive unit, but this is. At least give me something tackle wise. If you could tackle 20% better, they might have won this game.
It was a tough watch on the All-22. I watched it today. I will say this. I thought they mixed up the coverages. They tried to throw different things on the back end, obviously, at Trevor Lawrence. The fact that they couldn't stop them and they were down Travis Hunter, they were down all but one tight end. They had to use extra linemen essentially to be tight ends and help in the run game was concerning. But I think what we saw is Patrick Graham tried to make some changes in the secondary. We saw Tristan McCollum take over at free safety. We saw them move Isaiah Pollum out of strong safety. We saw them move Chin into the slot to try to get a little bit more speed on the field. They mixed all kinds of coverages. This wasn't your Pete Carroll cover 3, and that's all we're going to play. It was man coverage. It was cover 1 cross. We were getting cover 4 with, and I think I put one out there with a solo call where it's solo on the backside, and they're doing all kinds of different coverages they haven't run. So they put in a bunch of stuff in the bye week. They tried to run some new coverages. But essentially what killed this team in this game was the pass rush was non-existent. They got nowhere near Trevor Lawrence in this game. I have no idea what the pass rush plan was going in. I posted a clip where it was 3rd and 9. And Malcolm Kuntz, instead of working north and south and getting up the field and affecting the quarterback, literally just runs toward the sideline on the other side and does nothing. What are we doing? These stunts are terrible. The Raiders are just running into each other, let alone creating opportunities for their guys to get up the field. They're killing Max Crosby at this point. They're just not – put him on the edge and let him go. We say it every week, but stop slinting him inside. Stop moving him into where it's very easy to double team him. He's getting chipped, but it's almost like he's not trying to fight through that anymore, and he's kind of just trying to hold up the tight end and delay the release, then working as the pass rusher. There's not a single guy in this defensive line other than Max Crosby that can win a single rep. Adam Butler's been terrible. Jonah Lalu flashes every once in a while. Tyree Wilson's been on a milk carton for a month. Malcolm Kuntz, I don't even know if he's on the field. He can't get anywhere near the quarterback. So, these teams, one, can single block everyone but Max Crosby and hold up in the pocket. And then when Max Crosby's just running inside and trying to jump up and down and play volleyball, you have not a single guy that can get to the quarterback. So the defensive backs can only hold up so long. I'm really starting to get concerned with Rob Leonard and Patrick Graham and just what the whole idea here is with the defensive line. And I think that's why they lost this game. And what happened was They basically put Adam Butler inside a nose tackle in this game and used him as a 2-eye or a 1 technique. And the Jaguars got to the second half and like, wait a minute, we could just run the football. Like they can't stop us. So they just lined up and ran it 3 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards, 10 yards. The Raiders had no chance to stop them. They were getting third. And then when they got to third and long, like I said, the pass rush was non-existent. You know, they're spot dropping on most of their defensive coverages so that guys can get to areas and get open. I watched the film and I'm like, I thought Darian Porter played fine. Like he's playing deep. He's not letting guys get over the top. If he gives up a 5-yard out or, you know, a curl route when he's got deep responsibility, like people want to say he was terrible because they completed 5 out of 6 on him, but like he did what he was supposed to do. Like he's not jumping that route. That's not his responsibility. They can't cover the middle of the field right now with Landon Roberts and Devin White. They just have no chance. So when they go to these 2 high safeties and they start playing cover 4 and cover 6, then that only leaves 3 underneath coverage guys. And usually 2 of them are those 2 guys. So like, I don't know what the Raiders can do at this point other than just play man and blitz and hope they get there and create havoc. But what they're doing is not working. And obviously Jacksonville figured that pretty quickly. And we'll see what happens on Thursday night. This defense played, I want to say 76 or 77 snaps. And now you're going on a short week and going to Denver at altitude against a physical offensive line. Whew, it doesn't look good for the Raiders defense coming up this week.
Yeah, it does not look good at all. I'm not. It looks bad. It doesn't. I mean, we'll switch to the offense, real quick. And I mean, obviously, we know what we have in the all-world talent of Brock Bowers. Like he is just intense. I mean, the run to the end zone catch. I mean, that's just to show that pure speed. I mean, the one the let me get one cheek in. Touchdown was fantastic. The guy is really, that was phenomenal. I think it was 13 targets, 12 catches. He was fantastic in the game, and he made a huge difference in the game because he was definitely not healthy with the brace on. He's a speed player. So you know, any lower extremities kind of injury is going to hinder his ability. But it was just fun to watch him kind of do that. I just kind of feel like Coach Carroll kind of went all in to try to win this game. I thought he felt like he had a chance to win this game. He you know, I didn't see a Hightower. I mean, not Hightower. Thornton didn't play. You know, he was like, hey, he can't. They could have put him on special teams. They didn't put him on special teams. He hasn't played special teams a lot this year at all. So I understand that. I guess to a certain extent, Beck. I don't think Beck played the offensive snap in this one. I'm not sure, but then you look at you know, we're playing Tyler Lockett as if like, you know, that's, you know, and you know that's an important thing. I just don't see the vision of what we're doing. If you're, I mean, it's almost like, you know, he's just punishing guys, throwing them on the bench here or not playing them. I mean, I just playing these veterans when you're 2-5 now 2-6. I mean, people are losing their minds because it's going to. I mean, at this point, like, I'm not saying go full on young people, but like, I mean, we can have some spots here where we can see some young talent play to see if they have any talent, because this is just not a good look. You lose this game and now you go to Denver and you go to, you know, then you got the Cowboys coming in. It's just I don't know. I just don't know what success looks like under Pete Carroll.
Yeah, that's going to take care of itself with the wide receiver room because Jacoby Meyers is gone now. So those guys are going to play next week. So it's a 1 week anomaly. I wouldn't have done it. I would have liked to see Jack Besh out there. Like Tyler Lockett was out there, no catches, 2 targets, but they didn't win or lose this game because Tyler Lockett played. Like they went 12 personnel, which is what they should do. They should have Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer out there 60% of the time. That's what they did. When they went to 11 personnel, we saw Lockett, but right now it's going to be right. You're going to see, hopefully, when we go into this next game, you're going to see Jack Besh play a ton. You're going to see Trey Tucker be the number 1. You're going to have Bowers. You know, Lockett's going to play a little bit. I don't mind sitting Dante Thornton down. He wasn't doing anything. He can't get open. He's a straight line guy with stiff hips that can't get in and out of his breaks. I don't want him playing special teams. I don't think Dante Thornton can tackle anything at this point. He's not a strong guy. He's a slender guy. He's not done it. I wouldn't have thrown him out there just to throw him out there on special teams. But I wouldn't be too worried because of 1 week they played him. Now, if they didn't trade Meyers and they played the rest of the year and did that, then that's an issue. But it's a 1 week thing that's gone. We're going to see Tyler Lockett play a little bit. He's a safety blanket for Geno Smith. They have a relationship, but you didn't see Geno throwing the ball 8 to 10 times in this game and avoiding throwing the ball to Genty out of the backfield and Bowers. So the good thing is we saw Genty get involved in the pass game, and we saw what he can do when you get him out on the edge. They do need to stick with the run. They didn't run the ball a ton in this game. And to hear Pete Carroll in this press conference basically say, well, if we had the lead, we would have run the ball 10 times in the fourth quarter and would have averaged itself out. It's not exactly what you want to hear when you spend the 6 picks in the draft on a running back, where he basically says, we'll use him at the end of the game as a closer if we have the lead. Like, let's use him in the first and second quarter and get the lead and wear down the defenses and try to get this guy going and get a lather and give him the ball 20, 25 times, whether that's 15 carries and 10 targets or 20 carries and 8 targets. But to just say, well, we didn't give it to him because we didn't have the lead in the fourth quarter. Like they're not good enough to throw the ball for 3 quarters and get a lead. So I haven't watched the all 22 of the offense yet, so I don't know like schematically what changes they made. It was basically personnel, and they went 12 personnel, and we saw what this team looks like with Brock Bowers. And we'll see if Geno Smith can do it again. I mean, he threw for 280 yards. He had 4 touchdowns and 1 interception. The 1 interception was terrible. I did watch that clip. It's cover 2, and he's late to the flat, and there's nothing you can do. The corner's standing.
You text me immediately.
I don't know why he's sitting there blaming Michael Mayer. Like Michael Mayer was running out in the flat, and you're throwing the ball late, and the corner is inside, and he can just step in front and catch it. There's nothing Michael Mayer can do on that. So it's a terrible pass. That's the second time they've come at a halftime where they've deferred, and Geno's immediately given the ball back. Realistically, this is a short, controlled passing game, and they got the ball to the playmakers. He threw for 280-plus yards, but over 200 of those were yak yards, run after catch, or yards after catch. So
200 over the yak?
Over 200. They didn't throw the ball down the field. Yeah. They didn't work anything vertically, but they did get the ball out of his hands. I think he was sacked once. The pass protection was fine for most of the day. We'll see what happens when they have to face that Denver defensive line and see what Stone Forsythe looks against Benito. I might be in the minority here. I know the Raider Nation hates Stone Forsythe, but if you would have told me 4 or 5 weeks ago that Stone Forsythe would go in there and it wouldn't be just a complete turnstile, and he'd actually, if it's a sack every other game and a couple of pressures and not a ton of penalties, I would have signed up for that in a heartbeat. And that's kind of what he's done. I thought he's played way better than anyone thought he would be, although he's not a long-term answer, but he's not the problem on the offense right now. I still think, Parham is too inconsistent. I saw Jordan Meredith just on the broadcast get thrown around again a little bit in the run game, and they can't get any push between Parham and Meredith in the run game. So they're going to have to start working the ball outside a little bit more. But I thought Kelly, for them to put up 29 points is pretty good. I think, and the other thing I'd want to touch on is I kind of posted this, like, when are we going to have the compete conversation with Daniel Carlson? And people were coming at me like, oh, he's 9th all time in accuracy, and he's some guy said he's a premier kicker. And I said, well, he hasn't finished in the top 15 in field goal percentage in 3 years, and he hasn't kicked the ball over 54 yards in 3 years. Like, turn on your TV. Like, guys are kicking the ball 55 to 60 yards every week. Guys are making 85 to 90% of their kicks all over the league. So, like, he's a fringy kicker in the league right now. I wouldn't even say he's an average NFL kicker at this point. So, like, he was good couple of years ago when they first got him, and he's kind of regressed. And
it's funny, like team
definitely get an upgrade there. I'm not saying that they're going to go sign an upgrade, but we can have the conversation about do they back. At this point, I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't pay him $5 million. I just go get someone, draft a guy late or sign a guy in camp, and you could get the same production, if not more.
It's amazing how like people how like coaches will do all the competing stuff when they're not Raider coaches, and then when they get to be Raider coaches, it's all just like, hey, like, let's just chill, let's hang out. You know what I mean? Because there's no reason why. I mean, even like Santos in Chicago,
making $15 million.
Yes, exactly. Santos in Chicago he missed a couple of kicks that almost cost him the game against the Bengals, and Moody is right there on the practice squad ready to take his job. Like, you got to have competition.
We don't have a kicker on the practice squad.
Yeah, I know that's brutal.
They should.
He's not that good. I do like Chip Kelly. I do think Chip Kelly is so slick. So he was so quick to say, hey, what are you guys arguing about? Genty leads the rookie running backs in rushing yards. And it's because Who are
the other guys?
Hold on, Quinton Junkins is he leads them by 1 yard, and Junkins got hurt, so he has
He hasn't played every game.
He hasn't played, and he has one less game. So that was hilarious. And then the other rookies. I mean, Scatabo out for the year. Like all the guys who could be.
Yeah. Marion Hampton is out.
Hampton's out for the year. So it's hilarious. Right now
we're judging you based on the fact you took him 6th overall, and he should have been the focal point of this offense. When you didn't have Brock Bowers, you didn't have Brock Bowers 100% for all but 2 games,
and they still didn't rush the ball with him. Yeah.
Or get him the ball in the spin. They've only started throwing it to him the last couple of weeks.
How many receptions does he have? How many receptions does he have?
He had 5 for, I want to say, 45 to 50 yards last week.
His career receiving.
He doesn't have a ton of catches.
20? It's 20. 20 all year. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's just. I don't know what it. They're weird.
You should be a modern day Roger Craig. You should throw the ball 100 times.
This is just like a weird. The whole Pete Carroll, Chip Kelly situation. Like you go back to Chip Kelly, and it was like, oh, I didn't change him. I didn't have him change his stance. It was a different running back coach, dude. You run the offense. The whole thing with JPJ, like they just have they're just a weird dynamic going on in the building with those guys. I'm not sure what to say about that. It just drives me kind of crazy as far as that goes. I'm happy to see Meyers didn't go because Meyers. I mean, I know Green Bay was probably looking for a tight end because they lost Tyler Kraft for the year. So I'm happy they didn't make that deal. And then
you can't trade Mayer and Myers. You're a 12 personnel team now.
Like yes, you can't.
You can't do that.
You can't do that.
And he's under contract for 2 more years for no money, or for another 1 more year.
Yeah. So that'd be crazy. So
they should extend him, honestly. If he wants to sign a modest extension and keep him, I would do that.
They should do that. They actually should, because even when he goes down, now they both aren't good blockers, I don't think. So like that's an issue. But like, you need like
if you could get him for like $5-6 million a year on a 3 or 4 year extension. Yeah. Like I don't know what the middle of the pack tight ends make, but
yeah,
if you could give him 3 years and $20 million, would he do that?
Yeah, I think he might. I mean, I think any of these guys who can get some of that money to sell themselves and get some real cash in the bank, get off that rookie contract. I think he might jump at it. Let's see here, the kicking game. Like, okay, so how you feel about the not tuck rule, the tush push. Like you feel weird about it, like it's not part of football. I kind of feel that way about a kickoff. Like I just don't like this thing. I don't. It's just
that's because your team doesn't know how to do it.
Well, I don't think anybody knows how to do it. But like I can't. That's probably right. You're probably right about that. But I feel like it's we're manufacturing. I think just put the ball in midfield at this point, because I mean, like, because you're just, I think you're manufacturing, kickoffs here. And I will say this too, is that also with the Raiders, and we talked about not getting Gentry, the weirdness of the Raiders, like how Mostert did not play those first couple games is beyond me. He clearly has juice. He clearly has acceleration. It really helps the team. So I'm not sure why that, but I mean, he has some good returns in here. Jacksonville has some good returns in here. Around the league, people are getting used to this whole thing, and now they're getting some bigger returns, giving shorter fields to their offense. But it just feels like it's manufactured. But it's what it is. I mean, they want to add excitement to the game. Kickoffs are exciting, so we'll see. We'll see about that.
I would add on the kickoffs.
Yeah, go ahead.
The 35 is way too far. Like, move the ball back to the 25 or 30 on a touchback. Like, you're giving the guy, if you get a touchback, you're giving the ball at the 35. Teams aren't trying the touchback, but they probably should at this point. But you're with the kickers and league outside of Daniel Carlson, like we saw them. I mean, he kicked a 68-yarder, but he threw the ball to midfield and they were in field goal range.
Yeah.
Like you basically have to complete 1, maybe 2 passes and you're in field goal range with all of these kickers around the league right now. So like you score with 30 seconds left, you're 2 plays away from having a tie game or losing. I think it's too much. I'm old school. I don't want to say the 20. I would put it back at the 20, but 25. But the 35 is ridiculous.
Yeah. You in the middle 8 of this game, the Jacksonville Jaguars had, and the end of the second quarter, had 20 seconds and no timeouts. Got a field goal. I mean, that was definitely one of the killer plays in this game. Because you got to know that the kid can really boot, and you play indoors, so you can't give him an opportunity. You got to do whatever you can. You got to do whatever you can to not give Cam Little an opportunity there. They did, and end up costing them there as well too. So that's another reason why the Raiders lost the game here. Did Bachman fair catch on the 5-yard line in this game?
Well, there was a guy behind him. They scored on a touchdown on that drive. They had a 95-yard touchdown.
Okay.
I think the one play that you talked about, the 20-yard completion that got them into field goal range, that was kind of that was a cover 3. I remember looking at it a couple of times today, and it was that's the one where Darian Porter kind of didn't want to give it over the top. He's playing outside leverage, so he's got his hips turned to the field, and the guy kind of ran like a deep out on him, and he got his hips flipped around. The ball was thrown inside instead of towards the sideline. Yeah. Whereas if he just had better technique on that play, he could have picked that off or even knocked it down. And it was kind of like everything came to a halt there. It was a bad coverage call. Like I would have had, cover 4, maybe even, cover 6. Give him the underneath stuff. Like,
yes.
Why are we playing cover 3 in that spot? Because you can't let them catch the ball close to midfield because they didn't have any timeouts where they could run up and spike it. Like, you want to give up 5, 10 yards underneath, that's fine. You can't give up 20 yards. And that's the one play I think Darian Porter probably wants back from this game.
Yeah. Anything else from this game before we go to Mile High?
Well, I'm going to watch the offense tomorrow, so I don't have a lot other to say on the offense today. It was good to see them finally score points. I'll tip my cap to Pete Carroll for trying to go for the win. Like, just
there's no way. I mean,
don't kick the extra point.
Yeah. Oh my God, that would have been brutal.
I'll give him credit. It didn't work out. Obviously, there was multiple people wide open, and Geno got the ball batted down. But at least they went for the win. I'm for it. We did see some progress with the offense, but I think that's solely tied to Brock Bowers coming back. Yeah. And we'll see if they can continue to score. This is a great test for them on a short week on Thursday going to Denver, because that Denver defense is real. And we'll see if the offensive line can hold up. Patrick Surtain's not going to play in this game. So how are they going to cover Brock Bowers? Who are they going to use? They probably would have used him on Brock Bowers. They can't do that now. So the Raiders have to get the run game going on this short week, and we'll see if they can start stretching the field vertically. Let's start seeing Trey Tucker get involved down the field like we did earlier in the year.
Yeah, So on the Denver, I don't think Denver's going to sit there and just let them just, dink and dunk their way and just not tackle and get a whole bunch of plays in that defense. I know PS2 is not playing. He's still hurt. I think the biggest thing, I was reading a shit ton about Denver this week, and one of the biggest issues they're having is special teams. So Lutz has been okay, but their coverage has been really bad, and to the point where I think they gave up 8 points, 8 or 9 points to the Texans last week. They almost lost the game just on special teams alone, because they ended up winning the game in overtime, not overtime, in the fourth quarter, 18-15. They are defensively, I think they're the best defensive team in the red zone, and they're third in something else defensively. I forgot, but they're top 5 in almost every defensive category you could think of. They're really, really good. On the defensive side of football, they have the most sacks or pressures, and they also give up the least amount of pressure to the quarterback. Thoughts about this tall task the Raiders have on a short week? It's a divisional rival, so we'll see how that goes. But tough sledding here going to Denver to face the Broncos.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one because that pass rush is real. And we've been talking about it all season for the people listening to the show. They lead the league in sacks. They average 4.4 sacks per game. The next highest in the league is 3.5. So they're a full sack better than the next defense in the league. But they have, with Bonito coming off the edge and Cooper on the other side, and then you have Zach Allen in the middle. That's a pretty good threesome coming after the quarterback. They don't have to blitz to get pressure. Where you can take advantage of this defense is throwing at Riley. Riley Moss leads the league in pass interference calls. So throw the ball outside, get the ball down the field. But to do that, this offensive line has to hold up. So the way you're going to do that is you're going to go 12 personnel, and you're going to play action on first down to take those shots. You can't take those shots on 2nd and 12 or or 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, you have to take them on first down, which means they have to be really good on second down, because if you don't complete that pass, you're in 2nd and 10. Go big, go extra offensive lineman. We just saw what Jacksonville did to this Raiders defense when they had no tight ends. Like, put an extra lineman out there. Play Brock Bowers at wide receiver in this game if you need to. Move him outside. Detach him from the line of scrimmage. Use Mayer and Grant. Put Grant in the game. Screw this Alex Kappa as the extra offensive lineman. He's terrible. He commits penalties. Get him off the field. Get him off the roster at this point. But I want to see Charles Grant out there as an extra offensive lineman. I want to see Michael Mayer lined up next to him in a wide position and run the football, play action on first down, take your shots there, and they're going to have to try to control the clock. Now, this Denver offense has not been terribly explosive lately. Bo Nix was terrible if you watched that Texas game for the first 3 quarters. I watched every snap they played. So he'll throw the ball to you. The Raiders are going to have to catch it on defense when he throws it to them. But offensively, it's got to be the number 2 and 89 show again. You have to get the ball to Bowers. You have to get Genty, throw screens to Genty, get him in space, and just kind of take advantage of the opportunities they give you. And you might have to play field position in this game too. It's okay for Geno to take a sack on 3rd down and not throw an interception. Punt the ball deep. Get him down inside the 10-yard line. And hopefully this defense can finally get off the field, because they haven't done it the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think there's some guys to watch for who are starting to ascend a little bit for the Broncos. Troy Franklin, receiver, with Mims being hurt. RJ Harvey, they'll use him in a bunch of different ways. As far as just running the football, he caught a touchdown on a wheel route against the Texans last week. And John Day Barron is also a guy who's starting to get some action there for them as well. I think that one of the biggest things I'm worried about with the Bronco game is Nix's ability to run the football. The Raiders, I don't know. I can't think of a year where the Raiders really did a good job against a running quarterback who has some ability to throw. They have been a weird, because you look at the stats. They're in like good areas of the statistics offensively, but there's something missing. They're not really there. They definitely have been definitely has been not as good as last year. Where I think there's something going. There's something. It could be second year sophomore slump, whatever it is. But I don't think Nix has been as sharp as he was last year. But they do have ability to run the ball with him. And are the Raiders going to get pressure on Bo Nix? Like that's one of the things that when you play Sean Payton, it's the seams and the screens that you have to worry about. That's what he loves to do. That's what he loves to do. And we'll see when they get to plus territory, they'll take a shot to Cortland Sutton. They'll take a shot with Troy Franklin, and we'll see if the Raiders can handle that stuff. That's basically them in a nutshell. J.K. Dobbins. I thought he was done, but he's pretty much having a pretty good year. He broke. I think the Broncos were on like I don't know if it was like a 30 or 40 game streak where they didn't have a rusher over 100 yards. He's broken that. I think he's broken that mark a couple of times this year. He's been one of their best rushers all year. So it's going to be a really tough game, short week. Maybe you get them get them thinking that they can kind of steamroll the Raiders, but I think they're really focused. And right now the Broncos have, I think the Broncos Colts have the best record in football right now.
Yeah, and Bo Nix hasn't played well this year, in all honesty. He's had several games where he hasn't been good, but he's had a couple where he's thrown 3 or 4 touchdowns. But I think the one thing watching Bo Nix is like he's more aggressive vertically down the field this year. And his completion percentage is down. They like to throw a lot of slot fades. When he gets outside the pocket, he wants to throw the ball down the field. He hasn't run a ton this year, not as much as I thought he did last year in the games that I've seen. He's been inaccurate at times, but they do run the football very well. They have a really good offensive line. I think they've been up the least amount of sacks in the league. At least they had up to last week. So I don't think the Raiders are going to get home a ton. So it's up to the coverage on the back end to hold up. They're going to have to mix their coverages and disguise stuff. They started to do that a little bit better this week. They didn't have a ton of success. They started playing man coverage this week, which is weird, turning on the Raiders all 22, and you see them playing man coverage with Greedy Vance out there and Darian Porter and Eric Stokes. So we'll see if they continue to do that. But it's a tough matchup because, like you said, they got to have someone that matches up with Cortland Sutton. You got Franklin, who's kind of the speed guy. Mims has played a little bit. You get tight ends there. They're getting the running backs in the passing game. RJ Harvey with an explosive last week against a linebacker. If they get Harvey in space against Devin White, that's not a good matchup for the Raiders. I don't think the Broncos are just going to go out there and score a ton of points and go up and down the field. They could. I could be wrong. Like this Raiders defense hasn't stopped teams on the road. It's a short week, but it is a division rival. I think that the team will show up to a degree. It's probably going to be closer than people think, but I have a hard time thinking the Raiders walk out of Mile High or whatever they call it now with a W.
Yeah, I can't see how
field. I don't even know what is that field called anymore.
Empower something. Who knows, dude? So these damn stadiums all over the place.
I do think it's a good week. Watching the film, I think it's a good week to get Pegues and Hemingway up this week. Get young, fresh legs, get them on the field. This Raiders defensive line got run through last week. Fotu didn't show much at all. Lalalo's playing a little bit outside, but they need to get those fresh legs on that defensive line on a short week in Mile High. Get those guys active and let them run around.
Yeah, I think so. I think so too. It's time. It's about that time now. You're 2-6. Like so you can't hide him forever. Let's get somebody up and get that thing going. I think what's the spread on this one? 7, 8.
I don't know. What's the weather? What is it going to look like in Denver on Thursday?
That's a great question. That's what I'll do. Let me see this. The weather in Denver.
I haven't looked at it. We're looking at.
Give me a 10-day.
68. No snow. It's going to be nice. Nice weather.
Oh, good. Nice weather. There you go. So I mean,
high of 68 by kickoff. It's probably going to be in the.
But I do like your point about playing all those snaps and then having to go to play altitude. I do. I mean, that's
get all those guys up, even if they're all active. Like you're going to have some sort of rotation here.
Yeah, no question about it. Let me see here. I think that's pretty much. I don't know if you have anything more on the Bronco game, but yeah, I mean, so obviously another thing is I guess Dan, like I said, another thing about special teams too is I guess Darren Rizzi is the guy who is the special teams coach, and they also gave up a blocked field goal. They literally talked about Danico Autry during the week, and he's dangerous on blocking field goals. Okay. And then when they played the game, Danico Autry blocked the field goal. I think that's what they're really struggling in that area. So I think if the Raiders do have a chance to make an upset, maybe they can make a play on special teams. I always love Danico. I hope with Danico. He's one of my favorites from those old Raider teams, but still in the league doing stuff. But
did the Raiders block field goals? I don't remember the last time they did that.
When did they block a field goal last? That's a good one. You got to ask Siri for that one, or ask whatever. That's ChatGPT with them. I don't remember.
Immediately, I think of Scott Davis and Mile High. I go back to the early '90s, late '80s. Scott Davis. I think he blocked 2.
Was he number 70?
We're throwing John Bowie and Scott Davis. Yeah.
We're
going old school. I remember on this episode.
The random jersey numbers that I can remember from people it's pretty sickening. It's pretty sickening. Oh God, here we go again. All right, Raider Nation. Get ready for this game. Thursday night football. So you can just you can be a gentleman and say, honey, let's do something on this Sunday. Sure. And she won't even know.
This is not on ESPN, so I can actually watch it. Thanks, YouTube and Disney.
Dude, that whole thing is crazy. Somebody tweeted out something that was amazing on Friday night. Somebody tweeted they were like F Disney, F YouTube TV, F ESPN. I literally cannot legally watch on my TV. I cannot literally watch a game on Monday Night Football for the first time in my life. And he had to legally stream it, which is like crazy. That is crazy to have to do that.
Imagine having YouTube, ESPN Plus, and Disney Plus, and I can't watch it.
That's wild. That's wild.
But I'm not signing up for the ESPN app. I'm not doing it.
They had. I think they have losing. I think somebody said they're losing like it's probably dropping the bucket for Disney and ESPN, losing like $10 million a day or something like that. Some kind of ridiculous number, but
I'm at the point where I want to cancel YouTube, but I have the Sunday ticket, so I don't know if I cancel if I can just watch the Sunday
that's a good question.
I've already paid for it, so
that's a good question.
I haven't done it yet. I'm not losing the ticket. Yeah.
Well, I
if
mean,
I
you
can't
got
watch a Monday night football game, then I'm okay with that. They're going to flex that Raiders Cowboys game out of Monday night anyway, so we don't have to worry about that.
yes, they will. Yes, they will. No question. Or they'll double up and put another game there
In the
All right,
same
Ryan.
time slot.
Of course. I think that's pretty much it. We'll talk to you next time. Take care, everybody. Raider Nation. Have a good night. Peace. Deuces.
Later.
Later.